Good morning, it's today again. Welcome back to Joseph's Reserves. I'm Joseph and I store 20% of my income in the form of rare coins and precious metals. If you're getting into silver, you're going to run into the same three options over and over again. Sovereign minted coins, generic silver, and junk silver. And the question is, which one should you actually be buying? Because they're all silver, but they do different things inside of a stack. Congratulations to Bruno A8485 for getting to the comment section of my last video first. Thank you for the support. Bruno is also one of the newest members of my channel. Thank you for that, Bruno. And if you are thinking about supporting my channel in another way, consider becoming a member. It's a few dollars a month, and you do get access to some exclusive videos. Speaking of that, I do drop a members-only video at the beginning of each month, so that one will be coming soon. Alright, today we are breaking down the three most common types of silver that you're going to come across. Sovereign minted coins, generic rounds and bars, and junk silver. Instead of just listing the pros and cons, I want to go a step further. I want to explain what each of these is actually for and how they function inside of a stack. Because once you understand that, the decision becomes a whole lot easier. Because this is one of the biggest mistakes beginners make. They think silver is silver, so they just go out and buy whatever looks good, or whatever someone tells them to buy, or whatever is the cheapest, without really understanding why. And over time, this can lead to a stack that doesn't quite have a clear purpose, or reflect your goals when it came to why you're even stacking in the first place. Let's go ahead and start with generic silver. This is your rounds and bars. They're typically 3/9 fine, and they're produced by private mints. They're not government backed, and they have no face value. It's just silver. You're going to want this to be your foundation. If your goal is to accumulate ounces, this is where you're going to start. Generic silver is built for one thing: getting the most silver for your money. Out of the three options, this is going to be your most efficient silver. The premiums are low enough to allow you to get significantly more silver than sovereign minted rounds, and on the buyback, while you are getting significantly less than, say, an American Silver Eagle, it is going to be a lot more than what you get for the junk silver per ounce. When you buy generic silver, this means that you're paying closer to spot, you're able to maximize your weight, and you're going to be building a stack for efficiency. Especially when you're just starting out, efficiency matters a lot. And what I mean by efficiency is the spread, the price that you pay versus what you get back when you sell it, is typically the lowest. This means that your break-even point is a lot lower than those high premium items and even the unrespected items. This is what you're going to want your core position to be. It's not flashy, it's not exciting, but it's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing: building ounces. Even though generic silver seems like it might not be the most exciting choice, there are tons of different ways that you can stack generic silver. Here I have two 10-ounce bars by the same company. However, one is dated back in the 1980s and one is mass-produced even today. So there are even ounces that are considered vintage rounds or bars, and those are fun to collect just like modern day bullion. There are also poured or cast bars like this 1 ounce, I call them chunky bars, because they're so much thicker, the actual, diameter or length and width becomes a lot smaller. You can get chunky bars in 1 ounce, 5 ounce, and if you get a art bar or something poured by a specific person, they could come in any size that you like. You could build a generic stack around a specific private mint, a specific idea, or even something you like a certain animal. Next is sovereign minted or government-backed coins. They are coins when a government puts their name on it as well as a denomination. And just a quick definition, a bullion round or coin is just something that is marked with the purity and weight. This is an American Silver Eagle. It's marked as fine silver, which is understood to be 3/9 fine or 99.9% fine, and it does say 1 ounce. In precious metals, silver, gold, platinum, palladium, they are understood to refer to the troy ounce, which is 31.1035 ounces. And in this case, this coin is denominated $1 by the U.S. Mint. Government-backed sovereign coins are not about maximizing ounces. They're about trust, recognition, and liquidity at a premium level. Now, this is where a lot of debate comes in because coins like this, like Eagles or Canadian Maples that I'm pulling out now, have a much higher premium than generic, sometimes significantly higher. So the question becomes, is it worth the premium you're going to spend? And the answer depends on what you value. Because sovereign minted coins offer things like instant recognition, government backing, and strong resale demand. When someone sees a sovereign coin, they often don't question it. They know exactly what it is. And this becomes important when it's time to sell. Eagles or Canadian Maples often sell faster, they hold their premiums, and can often sometimes be easier to move in uncertain markets. But since you pay for that up front, you are also sacrificing ounces for the liquidity and recognition. So Eagles and Canadian Maples make the most sense when you want to buy a part of your stack in highly recognized assets, you value the ease of resale, or you're building a more refined stack over time. But for most beginners, this should not be where you start. This is something you can slowly add over time, kind of like a premium layer. Last but not least, we have junk silver, sometimes called constitutional silver or 90% silver U.S. coinage. That refers to the dimes, quarters, and half dollars that were minted before 1965. So this is what I would suggest for your fractional silver. Fractional silver just refers to anything that is smaller than 1 ounce. And yes, you can get half ounce, quarter ounce, or 1/10 ounce coins, but those do typically come in a higher premium, but are bought as regular generic, so the spread opens widely. And while these are somewhat unrespected in today's markets, the spread can also be very, very wide on these products as well. Because these are fractional silver, the premium on these used to be quite high, but now it's pretty common to buy them at spot or even sometimes a little below spot. Junk silver is about flexibility, smaller units, and practical scenarios. Unlike Eagles or generic rounds, junk silver comes in smaller denominations, which means you don't have to break a full ounce. You have built-in divisibility, and that can be useful in some certain situations. A lot of stackers stack these just in case the dollar gets down to a point that spending these will start to make more sense and it becomes a popular option for merchants. I personally spend silver on a pretty regular basis, and I'll tell you that most merchants would prefer 90% junk silver over fractional generic silver. This is something that was made by the U.S. Mint. It was made by a government and trusted for hundreds of years. And it's recognized as money even to those that aren't even familiar with silver. The difficulty comes when selling this junk silver to a local coin shop or to a wholesaler. Because this is 90% silver, the only way that it's going to be turned back into pure silver is through a refining process which has its costs. That means that even local coin shops or wholesalers buy it significantly under spot in order for them to continue to make a profit. That doesn't mean that it's completely broken or unusable or something you should completely avoid, but what it does mean is that you want this for fractional exposure if you're thinking long-term about usability and if you want diversity within your stack. For me personally, I buy as many full ounces as I can, and then when it comes to the last bit of the transaction where I might have a few extra dollars, that will go into junk silver to grow my position in small units over time. If your goal is to maximize ounces, you're going to want to stack generic silver. If your goal is easy resale and recognition, you're going to want sovereign minted coins like American Silver Eagles or Canadian Maples. And if your goal is that flexibility for smaller transactions, then you're going to want some junk silver. But I'll tell you right now that what you should be focused on is a well-balanced stack. Don't just choose one. You can definitely go heavy into one, but you're going to want a little bit of all three. And I could understand if you could decide, I don't want a specific one, but only going into one category can lead you down the wrong path. So consider at least going into two different categories, whether that's junk silver and generics, or generics and sovereign minted coins. However you choose to mix it up, that is for your stack, it's your decision, and it is going to reflect your personal goals. Know that I am not a financial advisor, and if I was, I am not your financial advisor. However, if I was brand new, my approach would be to start with generic silver first. Start building the ounces. Add a little bit of junk silver as you can if that was to extend your position, if you're dollar cost averaging a specific dollar amount. After a while, start to add some recognition, some American Eagles or Canadian Maples, if those are the types of things that you want to lean towards. But most of all, you're going to want a lot of ounces. You want the most efficient silver you can have, and right now in today's market, that's generic silver. And that is another key insight. When I first started stacking, the most efficient was American Silver Eagles. But just like anything, time will change exactly how the situation works. So make sure that you're constantly reevaluating your strategy and your goals, because things might change as you become a more experienced stacker. I just made my own line of coffee. Joseph's Reserves It's Today Again coffee. Most mornings aren't dramatic. They're quiet. You wake up, pour yourself a cup, and now you have a choice. Drift through the day or take hold of what's in front of you. That's really what this whole thing's about. Showing up, building good habits, staying disciplined in the small things. Whether that's stacking consistently, learning something new, or just being faithful with what you've been given. I put these words on every bag to remind myself first. Every morning is a gift. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, today. So take a breath, take a sip, and let's get to work. It's today again. You can now write me at Joseph's Reserves, 10160 Highway 242, Suite 800, number 401 in Conroe, Texas, zip code 77385. Make sure to include your information so I can write you back. If you liked today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Go down into the comment section to start a conversation or continue one. Share the video to anyone you think may like it, and subscribe if you haven't already. But most of all, thank you so much for watching. And just remember, every ounce adds up. So no matter how small, just keep stacking.